That we should know what leads to loftiness and holiness. And therefore wealth is necessary once you have first teach spirituality to yourself and then acquire physical wealth. Physical wealth is necessary for prosperity, which is always called upon by God, right? The very first command to Adam and Eve was, go spread and prosper, right? Multiply and prosper. So we took the multiplication issue really very nicely and actually took it too far because everybody started having what, 10, 12, 20 children because that was the multiplication. Multiplication meant what? 2 by 2 means what?
4.
4, right? So actually, if you, I mean, I'd use that as a joke, but if you really took everything seriously as we do, and we do not really want to do more than when he asks for, always a little less, then only 2 children were required of everybody. And if you did the multiplication a bit wrongly, then maybe 4 kids per family. 2 by 2 is 4, right? So if you say 2 by 2 multiplication, you are 2 and you produce that much 2 by 2, then 4, not more than that. But when it comes to prosperity, then we're like, oh, it's okay. God hates money. He will provide. Really? Okay. I mean, so many people say that, right? So how is it that the first injunction was what again? Go multiply and prosper. So multiplication was taken really nicely by the parents, but prosperity not so much. Somebody else needed to. You should have 12 kids and somebody else should raise them or pay for them, right? Like who would pay for them? It's quite interesting. Anyway, so again, this is a concept that was consistently misunderstood. Christ said not money was evil, but love for money was evil. In every scripture, it is said that everything in this world is being created for you. All the good things of this world has been created for you. Enjoy them, but within the law of God, right? Nothing should come before God. If any of those luxuries, in any of those habits, in any of those foods or clothes or jewelry or houses or cars or wealth or earth or whatever you're getting, if that becomes a goal in itself, then that becomes the world that keeps you away from God, and then it becomes evil. But it was not, again, the thing that became evil. It was your desire that for it. If your desire is above and beyond God for it, then that desire is evil, right? Otherwise, things in themselves are not evil. They're just neutral. They're just means. They're means to get to somewhere, right? So you wear clothing because you need to be warm or cold or whatever. You need to be covered. And we wear beautiful clothing, strive to wear beautiful clothing because God asks for that. He asks for beauty inside and out. He says he wants his people to be beautiful inside and out. So inner beauty is character, outer beauty is the physical things we do around ourselves, right? So all of those things we do because he calls for it. And there shouldn't be any other reason for it, right? As long as that is true, then all things are good. Since God created them, of course, all things are good. Okay, second, any other thoughts on that, or you want to start on second Taraz? That will be Reshma. And there was it's very important when he says, Baha'u'llah says, God says, you should know what leads to poverty and what leads to wealth, what leads to higher character and what leads to abasement. Every person should know this. Therefore, you are responsible for it. You can't then someday sit there and blame the world. That's what we are doing today, by the way. Humanity at large, in every culture, is sitting there just blaming somebody else out there. The rich people, the elder people, the historical people, the white people, the black people, the blue people, the green people, the some people out there is causing me this this downpour. No, we are responsible for ourselves too. And yes, there are some hindrance sometimes and all that, and we overcome that, right? So, but we cannot sit there for the rest of our lives. After 15, you cannot keep on blaming your parents. Certainly not after 21 years of age. You cannot keep on blaming your parents. Take charge. And whatever right or wrong they did, that was their earning between them and God. You do your own right now, right? And even when they did wrong, learn from that, because those are lessons. Those are valuable lessons, by the way. I say the things we learn, that's what not to do, is a lot more valuable, because that really keeps you firm into doing the right things, right? So then learn from that. And every human being, every relationship will have some wrongs done. We are human beings. Our wisdom is short and limited. So hopefully we keep on trying to do our best at every given moment. And if we did strive to do our best at every given moment, then the issues are lesser. But nonetheless, because our wisdoms are limited, or knowledge is limited, or personalities are limited, it's inevitable that there would be problems. So learn from those and be better. So if you learn to be a better person, a better worker, a better sibling, a better mother, a better father, a better neighbor, a better friend, because what was done to you, then those lessons were valuable because they made you into a better person, right? If we look at our atrocities from that angle, it becomes something that we are grateful for, because it molded you into something better. It molded you into doing better than what those people were doing. When we don't look at those things that way, then it's only complaints. And when we have only complaints, then we are only victims, and then we don't do anything for ourselves or for anyone else. It only brings darkness, right? So be very, very careful about that. I was persecuted for being dark, and I learned to love everybody. So when you were little, it hurt you, but it doesn't hurt me anymore. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that somebody did that to you. So you'll wake up to this problem. You'll be awake to say, this hurts because it hurt me, that it hurts, so you don't hurt anybody else. Therefore, you're grateful, even though it was a wrong thing, but you're grateful that somebody showed you that, right? So, all right, second taraz. Reshma?
Yes, is to consort with the followers of all religions in a spirit of friendliness and fellowship, to
In a
proclaim that
spirit of
which
friendliness and fellowship.
the speaker on Sinai hath set forth, and to observe fairness in all matters. They that are endued with sincerity and faithfulness should associate with all the peoples and kindreds of the earth with joy and radiance, inasmuch as consorting with people hath promoted and will continue to promote unity and concord, uh, mm, which in turn are conducive to the maintenance of order in the world and to the regeneration of nations. Blessed are such as hold fast to the code of kindliness and tender mercy, and are free from animosity and hatred. This wronged one ex- this wrong one exhorteth the peoples of the world to observe tolerance and righteousness, which are two lights amidst the darkness of the world, and two educators for the edification of the mankind. Happy are they who have attained thereto, and woe betide the heedless.
And woe betide the heedless, right? So what a mercy. In previous chapters, because it was necessary, right? When you are, again, some of the injunctions are necessary because of our limitations and evolution. When your child is 2 years old or 3 years old, you don't allow them to go out and make friends with everyone, every age, because they need to be safe, right? They don't have the discernment to see who's who and who can harm them. So the parents will teach you very different kind of things. They make an environment where those who are their friends and they know themselves are more freely available the children are more freely available to spend time with those that parents trust, right? Slowly, the parents teach you how to discern people. And by the time you start growing up, by the time hopefully you're of an age, your parents are not dictating who you should hang out with, right? By the time you're 21, you'll be in your own world, and they can guide you if they see something wrong, but they hopefully not dictating your daily life to see who to see and who to not to see and who to talk and who not to talk, because now you're an adult. And so when they see something wrong, they can put that on the table, but they trust you that you will learn and you will be safe, right? But when you are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 12, 15, that's not the case. They trust that wisdom in limitation, right? So then implement the same thing into the religions of God in the older chapters. So when you're becoming faithful in raising life in a certain way, and God feels like certain level of intermingling with others will actually defile you and would not allow you to walk this path, then certain restrictions had been given and made because of our evolution, not because God could not deal with other people. Make sense? So we often turn this whole sort of issue as if God hated them. God doesn't hate what he created himself, right? When your parents say, okay, there is a child out there who's a bully, and if adults are not watching, there are children who are that way. And if an adult is not watching them and your parent just let you play with the bully, you come home with bloody nose every day, right? If that is the case, your parents will say, don't play with this kid. Now, I don't think the parent hates the kid. The parent understands the kid is a kid and just doesn't know any better. Maybe they're not friends with the other parents. They can't guide them. They can't do anything about it. It's not their child. The child is not listening to them. Therefore, they can't train it. But safety of their own child is their duty. So since they cannot do anything else, they're at least keeping their own child safe. Make sense? So we need to look at all of the historical injunctions of what had happened and why in this time it was this way and this time it was that way. Baha'u'llah talks about that in the tabernacle, right? That whatever God gives is the wisdom of the time and ages, and it's the beneficiary thing for ourselves. We then turn around and say, oh, God must hate them. That's why he said, don't sit with this kind of people. No, God doesn't hate them. God is trying to keep you safe, right? Because his lesson was for everybody, for whole humanity. All are welcome to come in. But those who refuse to come in and keep on doing wrong things, then he says, then okay, then don't sit with here. Even now, consort with all people with friendliness and stuff, but what happens if there's a bad character? The same scripture tells you to avoid it. Somebody else is drunk and into drugs all the time. You are asked to then don't hang out with them. Then this injunction of meet with them all with joyfulness and friendliness is not on you. So look at everything within its own place and implement it that way, right? This is not a free, open space to know, no matter what is happening out there, you're always just friendly with them. You're not friendly. You're well-wisher of everybody. That's different. You're not friendly with a criminal. You're not friendly with a child abuser. You're not friendly with a thief. You don't hang out with them, right? All of that is God's injunctions as well. Watch for your own character. See what's conducive to it. Make friends who actually uplift you and you uplift them. Don't create the company that gets you into trouble, right? So character and knowing what the character is, and then therefore that judgment is necessary to see what is conducive in the previous thing, what is conducive to your own upliftment and what is not. And that should be parents' job too, by the way, to teach us. And they mostly do, according to their own capacity and wisdom and culture. They do it from very young age. They try to teach you to say, you know, this kind of thing is good, this kind of thing is bad. They try to keep you safe until you grow up, right? Because that's their job. So, but in every chapter previously, there was certain amount of restriction. In some chapters, you could not marry outside. In some chapters, you couldn't do this unless they were believers. In some chapters, all of that was because of my evolution and growth as a child. So those were safety issues. God was securing those who were coming. They wanted to live the good life. So he was teaching them to say, okay, you want to live good life, these kind of influences would hinder you. So don't go there. You just want to look at from that angle. This time, Baha'u'llah says, all religions, everybody, we are actually promoted to intermarry, right? So interreligious marriages are promoted by Abdul Baha. And that is something that almost never existed before. Even if the scripture didn't say that, but because there were certain things to say, okay, these people are these kind, then we took it too far and we made the rules and regulations where we wouldn't intermingle. Most of the previous chapters of people who follow those chapters and those religions, it turns them inside out if their child marries somebody who's not of their faith. Within the same faith, when they're not of their own denominations, they get really torn up, right? And to some degree, there are reasons for those, and it's too much. We don't want to go into that. So I'm sure you reflect on that and you know why. But a lot of it is, some of it is because of practical reasons, but rest all because we created prejudice, right? Baha'u'llah removed that. So look at people's character, and everything else is, they're all created in the image of God, and we are supposed to be friendly and joyful. And Baha'u'llah, there are some things like, if you're sincere and faithful, then you do see people and you meet people that way, right? And the more we make friends, the more unity there is. The more they know what you believe, and the more they respect you. So it's conducive on both sides. Any question on that? Tolerance and righteousness, right? So we believe in all religions that they came from God. Now, we don't believe in everything people practice because they've taken it too far from where their books were. But when we say we believe in all religions of God, we believe in the essence that was given, right? What was actually taught by those prophets is from God and is the truth. But what people turned it into is a different story. We don't mean that whatever they practice, we believe that that is true. Make sense? So there is distinction there. However, even when we do have problem to what they're practicing, we are supposed to learn the real essence of religion, all of us, and then measure it accordingly. But even when they're practicing wrong, you will see that coming from the tabernacle that we just finished studying. Baha'u'llah has this way of looking with an eye of righteousness and tolerance. He would even say, okay, you mistook this because of this issue, rather than just discarding people and saying, you do that, the wall gets built up and you can't make friends. So be careful about that. All right, third taraz, unless you guys have any comment on that. Who's next after Reshma? Is he here? Is he here, Ryan? Is Ryan here for Zana? Okay. All right, Han. Third taraz.
He's with Neil. Go ahead.
Concerneth the third taraz. Concerneth good character. A good character is, verily, the best mantle for men from God. With it he adorneth the temples of his loved ones. By my life, the light of a good character surpasseth the light of the sun and the radiance thereof. Whoso attaineth unto it is accounted as a jewel among men. The glory and the upliftment of the world must needs depend upon it. A goodly character is a means whereby men are guided to the straight path and are led to the great announcement.
And are led to the great announcement.
Well is it with him who is adorned with the saintly attributes and character of the concourse on high.
Right, so everything depends upon it in our lives, right? If you cannot depend on people because they're not dependable, There's nothing that can be accomplished in the world. If they're not trustworthy, you cannot accomplish anything. If they're not sincere to you, there is no relationship that can be made. All of those are the foundational characters of a good character, right? So first of all, be that yourself, and then find those who are. And when you are in charge of people, try to lead them into those things, right? And straight path, and are led to the great announcement. Great announcement is, first and foremost, is Baha'u'llah himself. That's his title in the Quran, the great announcement. At the same time, since it's the manifestation of God, every manifestation is the great announcement, right? So if we actually were righteous people, we would come to every manifestation truly, sincerely, and properly, and would believe in them and move forward accordingly, and would not end up killing them. Who's next?
Ariana.
It beseemeth you to fix your gaze under all conditions upon justice and fairness. In the hidden words, this exalted utterance hath been revealed from our most august friend. O son of spirit, the best beloved of all things in my sight is justice. Turn not away therefrom if thou desirest me, and neglect it not, that I may confide in thee. By its aid thou shalt see with thine own eyes, and not through the eyes of others, and shalt know of thine own knowledge, and not through the knowledge of thy neighbor. Ponder this in thy heart, how it behoveth thee to be. Verily justice is my gift to thee, and the sign of my loving kindness. Set it then before thine eyes.
Okay, so justice and fairness, again, is the foundation of all virtues, right? Truthfulness is foundation of all virtues. All virtues are foundation of all virtues. One without the other cannot live, right? So what is the one sentence that represents justice? And God has been asking us to cultivate that for thousands of years. One sentence. If you forget about all the scripture of the past, present, and future, whatever has been given to you in hundreds of volumes by now, and just can adhere to one sentence, one verse from God that exists in every single scripture, and he's calling for that. And if we could actually pay attention, our universe will look very different. Anybody knows what that is, remembers? We have spoken about this several times in the classes. Golden rule.
Don't do to others what you don't like to yourself.
Yes, golden rule. Do not unto others that you do not want others to do unto you. That was its previous rendition in the previous scriptures. It has been, even that has been uplifted farther. What is it now? Previously, it was at least don't do harm to them, right? Do not do unto others what you do not want them to do unto you. So don't harm them. Don't do wrong things that you don't want them done unto you. This time it's lifted higher up. Same essence, but lifted higher up. What is it?
Prefer your brothers before you.
Before you. Do unto others. Do unto others as you want them to unto you. See the difference? Now you're actually not only just avoiding wrong from each other, you're actively doing good. Actively doing good, right? A much higher level of that same thing. And that is either one. Do not do unto others or do unto others is not mercy. It's not mercy. You're not doing a favor to somebody. It's justice. It's basic requirement. Basic requirement, right? Justice is basic requirement of life. Nothing works without it. If you're not fair, you cannot be a loving parent. If you're not fair, you cannot be a loving child. If you're not fair, you cannot be a sincere friend. If you're not fair, you cannot be a sincere citizen or proper citizen. You cannot be anything without justice. You're only darkness and misery. Without fairness and justice, we are all darkness and misery. It's basic foundation of human character, fairness, all right? So then, do we know what this means? To see what it requires you to see with your own eyes and not with the eyes of others, and know with thine own knowledge and not with the knowledge of thy neighbor. Right now we're studying, and I am elaborating quite a bit by myself onto these things, and you guys are listening. Does that come under this injunction? Is it that you're seeing from my eyes and not your own? And are we doing something wrong here? What does this mean? We spoke about this too in the classrooms, and these kind of things, by the way, make notes of them. In a whichever way you can make a note that it sticks here. And then it's on the forefront of your thing, because these are foundational issues, right? If you study and then not remember them, then what you don't remember does not have impact on your character. It's pretty simple, right?
We are responsible, not you.
Sorry?
We are responsible, not you.
It's not about responsibility. The guardian has, if you don't come to the expounders, some of these issues are not clear to us what it is that is being said, right? So if you look at it at the surface, it seems like that's what we are doing right now. Okay, so why are you listening to me then? Why are you just not studying in a dark corner by yourself and not listen to anybody at all, right? That's not what it's talking about. But it seems like if you don't know what the interpreter said it means, then it could seem that way. That's not what Baha'u'llah is saying. Baha'u'llah is not saying we shouldn't study together, right? Why? Because then when you look at the other quotes, and he says, there are those who are the stars of his skies, his scholars, and once we judge them that they're right, then we should emulate them even and follow them. Then if you look at this at the surface, then that one looks almost contrary, because he's asking you to follow somebody, right? So whenever we see these things, then we know that we are missing something. We are missing some interpretation somewhere. So we are so lucky to have the two expounders, the authoritative expounders. Here's what Guardian says this means. He says, it means you put aside all the superstition and tradition. Live the life, study the life for this life that you have with and others around yourself, and learn from that. Not for whatever was being fed to you century-wise, whatever the culture habits were created for you, whatever the culture superstitions or forefather superstitions are, right? Put aside superstitions and traditions and learn things new. Very different, right? Then if you don't look at that meaning, then sometimes this can be confusing. All right. So if your neighbor comes and tells you something good, would you say, no, you're my neighbor, I have to learn it myself? If every person says, I'm not going to go to school because a teacher is telling you what something means, I'm going to learn it by myself, we would learn nothing, because we do build on knowledge from each other and for what was learned through the centuries. But what that knowledge comes from the centuries, I should be able to discern what is superstition out of that and what is just mere tradition people created, and where's the truth? Whatever the true knowledge is coming, I grab it. It's mine. It's creating my foundation. But I must create the discernment, right? That's why you notice that it's a human failing. You notice very educated people into very superstitional sort of things, and it boggles your mind. Somebody's an engineer, a scientist, I mean, modern scientist at the highest level, and they have this strange stuff that they do that is totally superstition, and they don't make the distance from it. Why is that? Because that has turned into a tradition, a superstition, a habit of ancestral stuff. It's like as if, and it affects your character. Whatever wrong we do, it affects our character, it affects our thought process, it affects my soul. So one must be really careful. Plus, we end up discarding actual knowledge and discarding what God teaches us because of those things. Right? So that's what the Guardian says it means to, and that's in God Passes By the way, right? And so he says God, he says this means to see with our own eyes, it means this. Okay. To discard superstition and tradition. Right. And we are asked not to create rituals and not to create traditions besides what the faith has already given. Be careful, the Guardian has warned us about it. Because somebody created those superstitions and traditions and generations are falling onto it. Right. And when we all keep on doing this, by the way, you go to a wedding party and everybody's a Baha'i in there and they do strange things because that's what their culture was doing. And it's okay if that strange thing is not superstition and if that strange thing is not contrary to your own now writings, then okay, right? Because somebody had brought this question to me from some of the Indian friends, actually, when we were in Haifa, to say, okay, because we are in diversity of culture is allowed in the faith, therefore, arranged marriages are part of your culture. How would that not be allowed? Well, that is not allowed because that's contrary to Baha'i law. Simple discernment. Whatever your culture was doing that is now contrary to the writings, you must discard. Very simple standard. The writings don't care if you're wearing a bindi or if you're putting some red in your head or you're wearing a sari or shalwar kameez or skirt or a pant. You can wear whatever you want. The writings do call for modesty, so don't go out naked. Right? But having some other rituals that have some meanings into them that are superstitious, you should let them go. On Nowruz, don't decorate your table with fish and eggs. Fish and eggs don't give life. There's superstitious stuff in there that has meanings into it, religious meaning added into it in the previous chapters. Don't do those things. Why would the Guardian says don't have a Christmas tree in your house? What does a tree does? There are lots of superstitious meanings associated with these things. Don't do them. They're not harmless. We call them harmless all the time because we want to do them. They're not harmless. None of the superstition ever is harmless. Right? So dissect things, make life simple. Who's next?
It is actually Suleiman's turn. So
Okay, he's not here. So after Ariana, Arman is not here, then Carmel.
it was Suleiman's turn before Ariana read.
Oh,
But
is
he
someone here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay, sorry. I didn't see that. Sorry, Han. Yeah, go ahead.
So I have to read the fifth taraz, no?
It is the last paragraph and then read the first paragraph first.
Okay.
The last paragraph of third taraz and then fourth.
Okay. It beseemeth you to fix your gaze under all conditions upon justice and fairness.
It's the last paragraph of the third taraz, and that is
Okay, from the Osana spirit.
they that are just.
Okay. They that are just and fair-minded in the judgment occupy a sublime station and hold on exalted rank. The light of pity and uprightness shineth resplendent from these souls. We earnestly hope that the people and countries of the world may not be deprived of the splendors of these two luminaries.
So it brings piety and uprightness. Justice does. It always does. The people who are just and fair-minded, they really shine out. They shine out in any community and society and family. Read the first paragraph, 2.
As the fourth taraz. Karsanet, ka-
Trustworthiness.
trustworthiness. Verily, it is the door of security for all that dwell on earth and a token of glory on the part of all merciful. He who partaketh thereof hath indeed partaken of the treasures of wealth and prosperity. Trustworthiness is the greatest portal leading unto the tranquility and security of the people. In truth, stability of every affair hath depended and doth depended upon it.
In
All,
truth, the stability of every affair hath depended and doth depend upon it.
all the domains of power, of grandeur, and of wealth are illumined by its light. Not long ago, these sublime words were revealed from the pen of the Most High. We will now mention unto thee trustworthiness and the station thereof in the estimation of God, thy Lord, the Lord of mighty throne. One day of days we repaired unto our green island. Upon our arrival, we beheld its stream flowing, and its trees
Rizwan Garden.
luxuriant.
Green Island is Rizwan Garden.
Okay. And the sunlight playing in the midst. Turning our face to the right, we beheld what the pen is what the pen is powerless to describe, nor can it set forth that which the eye of the Lord of mankind witnessed in that most sanctified, that most sublime, the blessed, and most exalted spot. Turning then to the left, we gaze on one of the beauties of the most sublime paradise, standing on the pillar of light, and calling aloud, saying, O inmates of earth and heaven, beheld ye my beauty and my radiance, and my revelation and my effulgence by God, the true one. I am trustworthiness and the
Trustworthiness and the revelation thereof and the beauty thereof.
I recompose whosoever will cleave unto me, and recognize my rank, the station, and hold fast unto my hem. I am the most great ornament of the people of Baha, and
I am the most great ornament of the people of Baha. Make note of that.
the vesture of glory unto all who are in the kingdom of creation. I am the supreme instrument for the prosperity of the world, and the horizon of assurance unto all beings.
I
Thus,
am the supreme instrument unto all things. Sorry, an instrument for the prosperity of the world. We want prosper, be trustworthy.
thus have we sent down for thee that which will draw men nigh unto the Lord of creation. O people of Baha, trustworthiness is in truth the best
Best of
of
vestures for your temples and the most glorious crown for your heads. Take ye fast hold.
take ye fast hold of it at the behest of him who is the ordainer, the all-informed.
So you know the story of, by the way, these are all the translations of the rectitude of conduct, right? Integral parts of an upright conduct, upright character, straightforward character, truthful, trustworthy, dependable, equitable, fair, just, right? So all things matter. This encompasses our whole life. You said you will be somewhere at 7 o'clock, you better be there at 7 o'clock. All right? You said you'll be somewhere 7 o'clock. You better be there 7 o'clock. Once to 3 times in a lifetime, you might have proper excuse why you couldn't do it. You got hit by another car. You got into something else that was not in your hands. Yada, yada. No other excuse than an excuse. Too much traffic, you know how much traffic is from your home to that place. Add your 20 minutes to it. All right? No excuse. That's not an excuse. If you're living in usual conditions, good, bad, or ugly, whatever those conditions are, you need to know what those conditions are. Build your schedule accordingly. You told somebody you'll be somewhere, you are somewhere, unless you're dead. That's trustworthiness. That's the level he's calling for. We have stories to back this up, right? There's a story of Prophet Muhammad. He was going somewhere with somebody. They were walking, and in the middle of the pathway, the guy says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I need to just run and do this little thing, and I'll be back. Just wait for me." And he says, "Okay, I'll wait for you." The guy was gone for the day. Forgot about it. Somewhere long after the end of the day, kind of remembered. It was like, "Oh my God, I said I'll be back, and he said he'll wait for me." And he was embarrassed, of course. So he comes running to the thing, even though he thought to himself, of course, he would have known after a little while that I wasn't, something has happened and I wasn't coming back, and he would have left. But he was curious. So he goes back to the spot. The prophet of God was still standing there. Shakes your soul, by the way. The manifestation of God the supreme manifestation of God was still standing there waiting for him. And the guy was baffled, and he said, "But you would have known after an hour, 2 hours, you would have known. Something would have happened to me, or I forgot." And he said, "Yes, but I said I will wait for you." That's the standard we are called for. All right. You know the story of the Bob. He was only 15 years old, by the way. That puts us to shame because he has taken over his uncle's businesses, right? And they were into silk and dye business, and they did business with China, Hong Kong, and other places. At that time, when the traders were doing trading, sometimes the other people will sell and buy. Like, they will give you your goods because your caravana is going somewhere, or your people are going somewhere, and sell and buy for them. So something like that, somebody gave him some stuff to sell for this person. The Bob took it. After a while, the guy receives the money for the goods were finally sold, and the guy receives the money, the profit from it, and it was so much more than what he thought it should be. So he calls on the Bob and he says, "I think you gave me too much money. You might would have made a mistake." The Bob's answer was, "No, it was not no mistake." He says, "But this thing is not at this value." He says, "Yeah, it's not at this value now, but it was at this value when you first gave it to me. And due to my busyness and stuff, I couldn't sell it at that time. Justice requires that you earn the profit I could have gotten for you then." So he had put money out of his own pocket and gave it to guy, because that's not mercy. He called it justice. That's what we're called for. And we can't even be somewhere at 7 o'clock. What did Baha'u'llah say? He proudly says that this is the ornament of people of Baha. We are his people, and we embarrass him when we don't do the right things. And these are basic right things, right? Can you imagine if all of us actually acted that way, where society would be? How almost no problems that we actually suffer would be here, right? Trustworthiness. Trustworthiness means people can depend on you. First of all, God can depend on you. If you're not trustworthy, God can depend on us. He says, teach this way. We don't. But we call ourselves his people. I mean, we don't even do his bidding. Forget about anything else, because we're not trustworthy. If you were trustworthy and I said, I'll do this, then that's my job. I will do it. I will do it no matter what. There's not much excuse. There's very few things that can genuinely hinder you. Right? But we don't pay attention to these things. We need to cultivate these characteristics in ourselves if we want to change the world. The world will not be changed by cleaning out streets out there and doing service projects that way. The world will change because I change my character and I change all of our characters. And then you interact with all out there, and each one of us then ends up interacting with hundreds of peoples over our lives. And if we become shining light, then they take heed from that. That's how you change the world, right? With the God's word. Make sense? So pay attention to these things and make them as your goal to achieve. I am the most great ornament of people of Baha. I am the supreme instrument for the prosperity of the world. Can you imagine the change in the guy's life that the Bob interacted thus? And then there's another side to it too, because we do not oppress and we do not let to be oppressed. There's another story about him, about a similar age. And somebody had bought goods from him, and the goods were taken and delivered, and they started renegotiating the contract and the price after they took the goods. And this is a common practice among Persians, by the way, to this day, right? Because then you are kind of bound, they think. And so you're willing to renegotiate whatever, but it was already negotiated. The price was already negotiated. So these people then traditionally do not follow superstition or tradition. Justice requires that, right? So these people then came to him and started renegotiating, and he wouldn't budge. He says, no, we already have the contract. We already mutually agreed on a contracted price. You weren't forced into it. And they told him, and that's where he has said that famous sentence. He was only 15 years old. And they said, but this is our culture and tradition. And he firmly extorted, and he said, I have come to change this tradition and culture. So they were insulted because he was a young lad, a 15-year-old boy is telling us these kind of things. So they wrote letters and they complained to his uncles that your nephew is, now they were, then they threatened him, and he said, well, if you don't want to renegotiate, they told him, then you take your goods back. And he said, okay. He actually sent people and they retrieved the goods back. That made them lose face and embarrassment in the whole of the business community. You're talking about very small little communities and marketplaces. So they wrote to his uncle and complained about left and right about that. Then the uncles wrote to him and said, you know what? And he said, no, I will not do this. Then can you imagine, to my horror, just some number of years ago, I was looking into buying a house, and somebody suggested this to me. This same thing. It's like, oh, now that they agreed to sell it to you, you can renegotiate and tell them to do these other things. And I'm like, what? Why would I tell them to do these other things? I already agreed to how would I take it? What kind of condition I'll take the house and what price I would pay. Like, oh, you need to be wise about it. You can renegotiate. Now they're like tied up to you. To my horror, the one who said that was a Baha'i. That's how we do business in Persia, he said. I was like, did you hear what the Bob told you? Did you ever study what you're supposed to be? If I said I'll take something and I didn't know the reality of it, I'll take the losses and I'll take it. All right, so be careful. Don't just do your faith when we are only doing your daily prayers. Faith means every action has to be done according to what's been called for. That's trustworthiness. That's sincerity and truthfulness. You know then why markets are breaking down and everybody's at each other's throat? Because nobody trusts anybody. Everybody thinks that everybody's out to get you. If you have enough examples set up like that, then people will trust. Our own lives would be easier because there is trust out there. It's not a matter of mercy I'm giving to the world. It's just a matter of basic foundational fairness, justice, and the proper living of my own life. Right? The fifth taraz, who's next?
Me. The fifth taraz concerning the protection and preservation of the stations of God's servants. One should not ignore the truth of any matter, rather should one give expression to that which is right and true.
Rather should one give expression to that which is right and true.
The people of Baha should not deny any soul the reward due to him, should treat craftsmen with deference, and unlike the people aforetime, should not defile their tongues with abuse. In this day, the sun of craftsmanship shineth above the horizon of the Occident, and the river of arts is flowing out of the sea of that region.
Meaning
One
the
must
west, right? Occident is the west. People, you have heard the last name Smith, right? A proud last name Smith. It's blacksmith. Comes from the profession of blacksmith, lohar. They proudly have that as a last name. In the Asian subcontinent, people hide that their forefathers were doing these kind of things. See the difference? No.
One must speak with fairness and appreciate such bounty. By the life of God, the word equity shineth bright and resplendent, even as the sun. We pray God to graciously shed its radiance upon everyone. He is in truth powerful over all things. He who is born to answer the prayers of all men. In these days, truthfulness and sincerity are sorely afflicted in the clutches of falsehood, and justice is tormented by the scourge of injustice. The smoke of corruption had enveloped the whole world in such wise that naught can be seen in any direction, save regiments of soldiers, and nothing is heard from any land but the clashing of swords. We beseech God, the True One, to strengthen the wielders of His power in that which will rehabilitate the world and bring tranquility to the nations.
Right? So all of this injustice and unfairness we do, the last hateful expression of that is war. When people are frustrated with the last ends, that's when war takes place, by the way. So if we don't want to have wars, we'll have to start here and start developing our characters properly. How do we deal with each other? How do we live with this life, right? Prophet Muhammad said, give the laborer his due before his sweat is dried. People will play the games at that time too. Oh, now that you have done the work, well, maybe I'll give you tomorrow something, or I'll give you a little less something because, you're done. No. Right. The sixth that I have here, it has happened and it makes impact on people. I had hired some people at some point to do some stuff. Before you hire them, you know what you're going to need to pay at the end. Lots of manual laborers don't like to take checks or this or that because that adds to their misery to go now to the bank and do this and that. They ask you, it's better for you if you can give them cash. And we mostly don't keep cash in this country. We have credit cards and stuff like that. That's how you work. Nobody keeps cash. But you know that you're doing this work and all that. So I arranged for that to go a day before and get the amount of cash that I needed to pay to these people in hand. So as soon as their work was ended and I gave them the money, they were surprised. They said, people always like, oh, can you do this, that, or the other, They were grateful. And I said, I was taught to pay the laborer his due before his sweat dries. I repeated that. And they were like, oh my God, oh my, they were so incredibly touched with that. Right? That's an injunction that was given 1400 years ago. If we had followed that, neither those people would be so surprised. They will expect that kind of treatment. And because they expect that kind of treatment, they would be trusting you more. And they wouldn't be worried all day long to say what is going to happen at the end of the day. All right. So if you had contracted with somebody to do something and what you're going to pay to them, pay them. And contract doesn't mean that you only sign the paper, which you should, by the way. In any of those things that a signed paper is necessary, the guardian said, don't do those verbal things, because lots of cultures do that. And the cultures who do very much verbal things are more in trouble, by the way. Yeah, write it down. Because somebody wrote to him and somebody cheated them and they was like this and that and the other. But we trusted them because they were fellow believers. It was like, even they were fellow believers, write things down. Write things down. Even if I do anything with my family, I write it down. It's not like I don't trust them, but it's good for everybody. And those who are trustworthy, they actually don't object on that. They don't go like, you don't trust me? Like, well, yeah, I do trust you. Then why wouldn't you just write it down? It's better for our memories too. Half the time you said something verbally and the month after you don't remember what was said. Then they said you said this and you think you said that, and there goes the whole thing. Why do things wrongly? So the guardian said, write it down, write the contracts, write things down properly. Deal with each other in proper manners, proper sense, and then there is less of a trouble. All right. So here Baha'u'llah is repeating that whole thing again to respect their work and do the right thing by everybody. All right. You hire, I've seen this in subcontinent a lot, unfortunately. I hope none of you do this, but it just grinds on my soul. People will hire maids, house workers. You put things down, what you're paying them and what their job is. By next day, they're asking them 5 more things to do. If they object, you hate them. And they get bickered at. Their salaries are compromised. There are things that, why? I have this constant battle whenever I travel there because I won't stay quiet on it. Like, don't do this. Don't do this. Or not teach them how to do things and then bicker at them. They come from very poor backgrounds. They don't know how you live. They don't eat your kind of food. They don't live in your kind of houses. They don't know what standard of cleanliness you have. Spend some hours, train them. Treat them well. You treat them well, they'll give their lives for you. That's been my experience. They'll do anything for you. Don't look down at people. Value their work, teach them better work, and give them what you promised them, and use good language. Don't abuse human beings. I've seen this too much. It's like, oh, you'll be here 2 hours. No, today we need you for 3. But that poor soul has 5 other jobs. They don't listen to you, you yell at them. They stay, the next person yells at them too. And if they have 5 places to go, then 5 people will yell at them that day because they'll get delayed for everything. All right. If you said they'll be here for 2 hours, don't ask them more than 2. And if you need it at some point, give them enough warning to see and allow them to accept or reject it. We are not their makers. God doesn't do those kind of things to us. Don't do it. If you made a mistake and you needed 3 hours work and you gave them 2, then do your own 1 hour work. All right? Don't hurt people. Okay. So all of these things, these are part of our covenant, right? We did the Kitab-i-Ad. That's the book of covenant. The name of that is My Covenant, Baha'u'llah's covenant with us. It requires these things. All of these are elaborations to first paragraph of that. We contracted that we will be trustworthy. We contracted that we'll be just. We contracted that we'll be loving, fair-minded. We will be good characters. We contracted in that. And that's why now you know when Baha'u'llah says, all have broken your covenant, O God. That hurts my soul because all means all. You and I are included in that. And when you look at it from that angle, then you know what he's talking about, right? We made a contract with him to how we would live our lives. How would we train ourselves? How would we deal with this world? And we don't. We don't even think about it. We don't even feel guilty about it. Half the time we break his rules. All right, who's next? The sixth taraz.
The sixth taraz. Knowledge is one of the wondrous gifts of God. It is incumbent upon everyone to acquire it.
It is incumbent upon everyone to acquire it.
Such arts and material means as are now manifest have been achieved by virtue of his knowledge and wisdom, which have been revealed in epistles and tablets through his most exalted pen, a pen out of whose treasury pearls of wisdom and utterance and the arts and crafts of the world are brought to light. In this day, the secrets of the earth are laid bare before the eyes of men. The pages of swiftly appearing newspapers are indeed the mirror of the world.
Pages, we're suffering this phenomenon right now, by the way, pay attention. The pages of swiftly appearing newspapers are the mirror of the world.
They reflect the deeds and the pursuits of diverse people and kindreds. They both reflect them and make them known. They are a mirror endowed with hearing, sight, and speech. This is an amazing and potent phenomenon. However, it behoveth the writers thereof to be purged from the
promptings of evil passions and desires,
and to be attired with the raiment of justice and equity.
Equity means fairness here, by the way, justice.
They should inquire into situations as much as possible and ascertain the facts, then set them down in writing. Concerning this wronged one, most of the things reported.
Paragraph quick and then go forward on the next one. So see how much we are suffering this? Baha'u'llah has already enjoined, this was the media was coming into being at that time in the shapes of newspapers. He's already spoken that this is spoken, written, and otherwise. So all the prophecy was already done where it's going. And it is because we are so mired with our desires and passion, and we are not just and fair, that the world is suffering. You don't know what to trust and what not to trust out there. Right? The news is not news. The news has become opinion channels. The news channels have become entertainment channels. The news means you just give me the facts. You go investigate, something happened, you investigated it, you give the population the facts, period. And it used to be at some point close enough. And you would notice because of that, the newscasters will have a sort of monotonous sort of way of reading something, because you don't want to have your emotion in that. You're just a mode who's giving the facts to what has happened. It's the people's job to then decide what they want to decide out of that story. Now they actually tell you what you should decide out of that story, right? These are opinion pieces now. They are propaganda pieces. They are not news anymore. And the world is erupting in hate and prejudice against each other because of that, right? You get bombarded with, whoever side you are. I've learned grave lessons doing this kind of stuff, to say, because you only see what you want to see. and you don't have any idea what is happening on that other side. Because you're doing propaganda pieces on taking partisan sides to which side you are of any argument. That's not how knowledge works. That's not how justice works. That's not how truth works. And that's not how solutions work. Right? So we had this whole discussion during this Friday's fireside, and it was like, we must learn to talk. We must learn to listen to each other. We must learn to discuss things without throwing fits at each other or hating somebody because their ideas are totally opposite or different and shutting it down. You're not shutting them down. You're shutting your own self down, by the way. You're shutting your brain down. You will never know the whole thing. And just because you don't want to hear it doesn't mean that they don't still do it, or they don't believe it, or they don't say that. So then what? We still have to live together in this world. How are we going to resolve anything? Courteous, but unfettered. Courteous, but frank and unfettered discussions. We must learn to do it, and we must teach our friends who don't know what Baha'u'llah has brought how to do it. If you cannot sample it, the world can't learn it. Right? It was a good one. So there was one of them who said, the people don't listen to me because I have these other things. I was like, you don't have to hold back on this table. We can discuss whatever you need to discuss. We did. The outcome was we have some meeting today. The person said after a very long time, it's like, I'll come too. You don't have to agree with everything somebody's saying. It will never happen. Everybody has different ideas. But if you're not able to consort with each other in friendliness, and if you don't actually have your own backup of the truth, how to present it and how to bring people to it, then it's on us. Right? So Baha'u'llah is already warning about newspapers, and we are seeing the full brunt of the opposite direction that this industry has taken. Go on, the next one, next paragraph.
Ghazala, I just want to add something here that with the social media, earlier newspaper was limited to the hard print that we were getting, and to a certain extent, we knew the kind of newspaper this supporting this partisan political party and this. Now, with social media, there's so much of good stuff, but a lot of garbage also. So that's just I want to bring it to the table that especially, I mean, including myself, let me be very honest, but the kids also, when they're on social media, what they're checking, because to add to the misery, I would say that AI is tracking what search we have done or what article we have read, even if it's a mistaken article that we have bumped into, then it keeps pulling those threads and putting it on our face. It's quite disgusting.
It was the same all the way through, by the way. So you had, as soon as anything, before even newspapers were there, the marketing of people's idea has been with human beings forever. It just has expanded, so to speak. So the way I look at it is that people were crummy. People were not training themselves to be honest, gossip-free, truth-seeking, truth-speaking. And so the only luxury previously you had was you could only make certain amount of friends, and out of those you could pick and choose who comes and sits in your living room or not. You didn't have much control over what kind of family you have around and so forth and so on, but it was limited. Now everybody's ideas, if you let it happens into your living room. But these are not new ways. People have not become this way. People had been this way. We have not corrected ourselves. And so to me, this is kind of a convergence, so to speak. It's coming home to roost. It's the reckoning time. It's the reckoning time. What was it Baha'u'llah said? I'm paraphrasing. He said, clarify and clean up your hearts and characters. Because soon enough, only the purest of things will rise up. The moment I saw that, we didn't have social media yet when I became a Baha'i 26 years ago. And I saw that phrase and I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. So guess what? If your heart and soul and character is not clean today, it's plastered everywhere, with or without your knowledge. He had warned you about it 180 years ago. 180 years ago, right? So a lot of times people would bicker about, oh, they will take this and that and the other. They'll be watching you. I was like, let them watch me. I have no worries. What are they going to take? Okay, watch me 24/7. What are you going to see? It's like, they come in my door, what they're going to take? Like my old sofas and my books. There's nothing to steal here. Right? So that's what he was saying. Don't have anything that you have to hide. Cleanse up your characters. There's no worries, right? What are you going to see? What are you going to talk? There are no secrets, right? Good, bad, and ugly, all is there. All is up there. There you are, okay? So we are worrying about the wrong things. Yes, it is going there, and yes, it's seeing you, and yes, it's doing all of that, but we are worrying about the wrong things. If I had created the discernment inside me to always be able to, what does Baha'u'llah say? He says, like, if I follow his footsteps, if I follow the faith truly, then I discern truth from falsehood, like that. Isn't that his promise? Then why would I care how many people out there are spreading falsehood? I see it. Right? I see it. So I shouldn't be bickering about that. Yes, of course, it's wrong that they're spreading falsehood. But I should be spending my energies trying to become that jeweler that he's promised me that I would be. Right? Because I cannot stop them, no matter how much I cry and scream. Those who spread falsehood, they will spread falsehood. They're not going to stop because I don't like it. So what's in my hands? In my hands is that I make the discernment. I know to know what is truth and what is falsehood. What is right and what is prejudice. Right? We are asked to not be partisan. We cannot create parties. We are not allowed that. We are truth seekers, period. Wherever it comes from, whichever party it comes from, whichever person it comes from, whatever angle it comes from, right? If we can develop that, there are millions of us. If our community can develop that, that will become the light for those who are looking for how to do it. Our job was to create the models, right? Our job was not to change everybody yesterday or to change the whole world yesterday. What was our job? Our job in the writings was consistently to be told to create the model in myself. If millions of us are models everywhere on this globe, it has effect. The world doesn't know any better, by the way. They're just doing what they know. They're doing what they know. So strengthen yourself. Study the writings. Act upon them. Live them every day. Nothing will touch you. Nothing will touch you. If anything, by the way, it strengthens you when you see all of those things out there, because you know where the truth is. And you have the answers in hand. So you walk everywhere with confidence to say, yeah, I know this is happening, but I know where the answer is. Do you want to hear it? But people don't want to come after words only, empty. If they see you, you're living somewhat differently. We had several of these conversations, like same kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, I mean, there's this and this and that. And they go like, oh, you think very differently. When somebody sits back and says, you think differently, okay, so how about this and that? You have accomplished something Baha'u'llah wanted out of you. Right? That's where we should be. If we are suffering and complaining the same thing the world is doing, then what are we doing? I don't know. Yeah. Study the writings and live them, and the world will see the answers. It does see the answers, right? That's what we're called for. We're called for to build a model. And we are being warned about all of these things long time ago. The world didn't know that. The world is learning daily basis what the problems are. We shouldn't be part of that kind of world that is only learning now, oh my God, this is happening. How do I deal with this? We've been warned. We've been warned 181 years ago. Where the world is going and what not to do and what to do, right? So yeah, be careful, but don't shun yourself either. Have the strength to discern, and then you're safe. Teach your children to have the strength of discernment, and then they're safe. You cannot stop the portals of the world. You cannot stop what the world is doing. Only thing you can do is to strengthen your own heart and mind and character, and then they're safe. Right? Then they're safe because they themselves have the light inside them. Then you don't worry about the darkness. Okay. Concerning this wrong one, was Iman reading? Yeah.
It's Isha now.
Okay.
Is it concerning this wronged one? Concerning this wronged one, most of the things reported in the newspapers are devoid of truth. Fair speech and truthfulness, by reason of their lofty rank and position, are regarded as sun shining above the horizon of knowledge. The waves rising from this ocean are apparent before the eyes of the peoples of the world, and the effusions of the pen of wisdom and utterance are manifest everywhere.
So they've been lying since then. All right. This is an Akka. This is an Akka in 1870s and 80s. Okay. More than 120 years ago, they've been lying. Why they've been lying? Because they are not bothering to actually investigate. Personal investigation was a what? A crucial element of God's faith forever. See with thine own eyes is not first time, by the way. The phrase exists in the Quran and the Old Testament, which means investigation. You investigate anything that comes to you. You have two choices: either to walk away from it, don't make any opinion, don't act upon it, and don't spread it either. Ignore it. If you want to be involved, then investigate. If you want to say anything about it to anyone, even to your next sibling, then first investigate. Make sure what opinion you're going to spew out is actually based on some facts. And look at the facts just as they are. And if you're fair-minded, we can immediately discern where's what. Right? So it's not now, it's just multiplying. They've been lying since then because they don't investigate, right? And because they're prejudiced. So they're seeing from their own colors. Right? There was another very important thing when Baha'u'llah says newspapers are the mirror of the people. What does that mean? I'm seeing myself in there, no? What's the mirror? Elsewhere in the scripture, it says that your rulers are mirror of their people. Just the other day, we had this discussion because our country is abrupting right now. You know what happened yesterday too. It's like abrupting. I was like, and I finally, somebody said something and I said, come on, it's just a person. You think they're going to change everything? We are so tied up. It was like, oh, this is only 4 years. The country has been here 400 years. And you think that in 4 years it will just go away because somebody's coming in you don't like? How many places we are wrong when we feel that way? First of all, you really kind of very proudly say you're democratic. If the majority has decided for somebody, then let them rule. How is that respect for democracy when you don't like what the majority decided because they didn't decide it the way you wanted to decide? So you start fighting the next day. That's not respect for democracy. It's one person. There's a whole country, a whole system that runs. Yes, there's lots of wrong here, but you're so abrupted over this one person who'll sit there a few years as if, oh my God, they're not God. Let it go. Educate with courtesy and knowledge if you think that something is right, and then leave it. And if majority decides something, then respectfully follow that. That's what was required integrally out of a democratic system. The whole globe wants to take pride in, we are democratic countries, but no, we don't have a single amount of respect for it. What does democracy mean? Democracy means the majority decides. That's what the system is. All right, so if 51% people decided and 49 of you didn't like it, 49 of you should respectfully let it live. Do we do that? No. Then everything is abrupting, then whose fault is it? So when I said that, finally, we had like half an hour long conversation. I was like, don't say this or that politician is destroying our culture and my country. You and I are destroying our culture and my country. If you and I cannot talk because this other person sitting somewhere who would never meet me or you, they will never know us. We will never personally know them. We are the ones who are friends or family or neighbors or whatever. And now we hate each other because we agree or disagree on to who's going to sit in this other place who will never know us. Who's destroying the country and culture? He's never come to my street. Never would. We are destroying ourselves. Right? And we keep on, because this is a good excuse. I want to feel good about myself. Is this guy up there who's doing this? He's just going to destroy my America or my India or my Pakistan. Really? So take heed, pay attention. If you're fair-minded, which he's trying to grow us into, we won't act that way. All right? And things will go back and forth. This tussle will always be here in humanity. These issues will go away, some new one will be created. We are all different capacities, different mindsets, different thoughts. Diversity of thought must be allowed, Baha'u'llah says, right? As soon as there is diversity of thought, some thought would be better than others. It will always be with us. We are not machines. We are not asked to become machines. If you want conformity with 9 billion people, then you should be happy AI is being created, because machines are the only ones who are capable of being 9 billion of them the same way. Human beings are not created that way. All right. This one is a long one. Let's end here today, actually, because I have to go. All right. Any other thoughts and stuff? So pay attention to these things. Let us not act and be the same way as population is out there. You have the answers. You are the torchbearers of this world. If your torch is not lit, then yeah, now we're in trouble. Right? And we are in trouble more, by the way, because the torchbearer is in the front of the lines. Right? The torchbearer is supposed to be, and it is, in the front of the line. And if your torch is not lit, guess whose knees are going to be broken first?
We can't plead on ignorance at the day of reckoning.
We already had the day of reckoning 181 years ago. The day of reckoning was 180 years ago. We've been reckoned. All right? We've been reckoned. He has put it plainly and straightforwardly what is right and what is wrong. And it's a very sad situation that if you are the only one who has the answers and you're not providing them, where would the answers be coming? Right? Where would it be coming?
I wanted to add that in 2013, we had this youth conferences. And in that house talks about this electronic media, how it has taken in. And poses a question like, how the youths are going into them. So it says like where we have to draw the line. Like, so the youths, they put it on the head and the youths have to think basically where I should draw the line and things. So in 2013, House had warned us about what is going to come. So today when I turn back and tell my children, like, you see, this is the reason I don't give you so much phone. I give you time this particular AC because you see the phone, then you go into WhatsApp, then you go to Instagram, then you go into this thing. And this is the reason House had warned you. It was already there and like, this style, but especially the youth conference, all the youths you see they are like, even if you see my niece now, my nieces those who come from modern classes here, if they have to eat the food, they give the phone in their hand so that they look at it and eat the food. If you give them, they don't eat like this. Phone they'll watch some cartoon or something and they will keep eating it. I've been telling them.
I give my iPad to my cats to play on. Right there.
Yeah, and they reach
it keeps them busy and they love it. So
yeah, and they reach such a stage. If you tell moral class, let's we teach you this prayer or this. Teach us the smallest one, but they know all the songs which is there in the reels. They will play all the songs, but these things they don't want to go into that. Like even today when she was teaching this one prayer, a song to them, one para is enough. We don't want the second para. But you ask them to sing other non-Baha'i things and all, they know it fully, like, So they are into that. You ask them for dancing, they'll know everything what is in the reels. They will dance it accordingly. They have gone through that. The languages they use, that childhood innocence is lost somewhere because they're using those kind of things. The accents, it's not, the accents is also funny, like, they're using those kind of things. So I think the house had already, like, for me, basically went to see, like, apart those who have not read this, like, if the youths were there at that particular time and thing, there is a warning there. And that houses put it like, so read
but
that like.
In my experience, at least, I blame the parents because youths are not grown up out as grass out of the ground, and they are trained and raised by parents. If parents were properly raising them as Baha'is from the very young age, they would be better off. I saw that what you're talking about in Haifa, and I was so indignant that you ask somebody to let's get together and study Dawnbreakers, and often they will say, so many of them will say, oh, it's too big, it's too difficult, there's too many names and this and that. But they were willing to read Harry Potter over the weekend, right? They're willing to read Harry Potter over the weekend. Who gave them those habits? I've heard parents saying that, don't tell my 6-7-year-old child to read Dawnbreakers. It's too difficult for them. Where do you think the child is going to feel when they are 10, 11, 12 years old? Right? I've created those boot camps for study of the 5 major prerequisites in 21 days for the Baha'is. Most of the times it's parents that object on that. 99% times it's parents who object on that, not the ones who are invited to come to it. The younger ones are willing to take the challenge. Parents are the ones who say, this is too much. When I lay down the program, most of the times the parents start to require me to change it in this, that, or the other way, or they should have this much amount of daily stuff for fun activities and this and that. I was like, no, it's only 21 days. You want fun, go somewhere else. What are you training them for? They cannot study day in and day out just for 21 days, really? And you're saying that to them. Why would not they be justified when they are whichever age to say, yeah, this is too much? Right? No. Because if as young people we could grow on our own and do the right things our own selves, you parents wouldn't exist. God would have grown us as grass on the field. right? So I've even heard Baha'i parents saying, oh, I don't want them to hear anything about Dawnbreak. It's too gory.
Yeah, that's
There's a 7-year-old who gave his life for you, so you could be here today, but you don't want to hear their story because for your child it's a bit too much. Right. So for me personally, even when I see a 40-year-old man doing really wrongly, I say, go pick his mother. Who raised him? I mean, women complain about men all the time in all societies, by the way. Women complain about men so much. I'm like, who raised them? Who raised them? Isn't the woman who raised him? And if it's some opposite direction, whose fault is it? You want a proper man? Raise a proper man. Raise a proper man to give to somebody. All right?
even in this, even in when Iman was doing his moral class, grade 3, the teacher, the, she was so funny, like, because, when the computer is here, I keep the speaker loud. So even if I'm in the kitchen, I can hear the conversation. So I keep it loud, like, wherever it is. So she was not willing to talk about the martyrdom. She was not willing to the martyrdom of the Bab. She was not willing to talk the atrocities that the Baha'is are. You know why? Because she's telling it was too much of violence. And I was like, this is the part you should teach the children. Teach the children why did they go through all this chaos? Why did they go through all this pain? She has left the most important thing and she was teaching, okay, this is it. So I'm like, I'm like, what is the point? Like, dawn breakers you're talking about, the great tree is all about the faith and the thing. And I was like, the faith, it is the essence only, you're removing it often giving. So it was very sad. And I said him, this is it, enough. Like, this your moral class is done. So he's like, so as I said, it's most of the parents, it's most of the guys.
Baha'is have often decided, they still often decide what to give to the world and what not to. They decide that it's not really, it's too much. I'm like, really? God didn't think it was too much, but you think it's too much? God gave you 100 volumes 180 years ago, and he didn't think 180 years ago it was too much, but you would decide that you know better than God, and you think it's too much? Really? I mean, what do we do with that, right? What do we do with that?
The Baha'is supposed to keep the Christmas tree. The Baha'is keep the Christmas tree. And then on one hand, you talk about them having Baha'i identity. I mean, my children got Baha'i identity on their own, like, from the child. And then on one hand, you want to keep Baha'i identity, at the same time, you want to keep Christmas tree.
But the worst to me is Persian Baha'is complaining about Christmas trees while having Haft scene on their table.
Exactly. And the
hypocrisy just boggles my mind. I'm like, okay.
And yeah, and here we have this Ganpati, and we have this Krishna, Lord Krishna's things and all, and Diwali manayenge. Bahai is flexible. So we celebrate, like, going and celebrating, someone has invited you, going is different. But when you do it on your house, it gives a wrong message. Then how can you talk about keeping Baha'i identity? Baha'i identity is like, I'm a Baha'i, I don't celebrate Diwali. I can be part of your celebration, but I don't celebrate. That is where you draw the line. But it's so thing like, don't be, Baha'is are meant to be flexible, don't talk like this.
Yeah, Baha'is are meant to be flexible, but to be obedient to your own scriptures and writings, and your own writings say don't do these things and don't do those things. It's pretty flexible where God allows you to be flexible, and where God says don't do something, then just don't do something. You don't know better than him. And if you want to think that you know better than him, go somewhere else. Go do something else. Yeah, I'm very flexible. I'm flexible exactly as much as flexibility asks me to do. Where he's put his foot down and say, you don't do that, I don't do that. It's simple. All right. The Baha'is are flexible, but the Baha'is nowhere are told to ignore the guardian as in injunctions. That's covenant breaking. Just because somebody didn't call me that name doesn't mean I didn't do it. All right. When the Abdullah and the guardian had given you injunctions in the society and community and households to what to do and what must not to do, then it's not for you to decide that. Yeah, you can. It's your opinion. You can be somewhere else. That's fine. But you can't say Baha'is do this. You do that. It's still your choice. God has given you the choice to follow or not follow. But you can't say that's the Baha'i thing to do. Right? And it's we the grown-ups do not set up proper life for ourselves and for those who are growing and watching. So if you're willing to do willy-nilly whatever, you know what the guardian has asked you to do and you won't hear it, why should your children? What kind of identity they will keep? And when they go to college and now you have not deepened them in the faith, they don't really know who they really are. They don't have the answers. You hid all the real stuff from them. They only have very superficial attachment to some functions and this and that or the other stuff here. They go to college, people don't hold their punches. There'll be people who'll be putting this very serious discussions on the table and they don't care if it's gory or not gory. They don't care. They want you to produce whatever. When you can't produce the proper answers, guess what? Guess what? You're lost. All right. So we are doing it to them. We are doing it to them. They were supposed to be deepened in the faith before they turned 15. All right. Abdullah says, introduce them to hardships, and we say, what? Oh, don't make it something this is too hard. Don't make it hard. You're just studying. Oh, it's too hard. Then what do we expect from them? All right. So, all right, I gotta run. Thank you, guys. I'll see you next time.
Allah.
Thank you.
Bye bye.